Welcome, Srisha, and I'm happy to have you once again in a different role altogether. We were talking about cricket and all the things. Today, let me put some spotlight on the career that you have as a sports operations manager. How are you doing?
Thank you so much, Dhanush. It's so good to be back. I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing great, and just I was curious the moment you joined this company with Shikhar Dhawan, and when he was, and you have been one of his root guys who is the pillar of that organization in developing it from the ground up. So now you have been like into this firm for like a year and a half now, and I guess your role as a sports operations manager is you kind of got an idea of how it is, and you have done businesses over the last 1 year. We have had discussions on some of those as well, and definitely I guess that you have had a great time, great learning experience for sure. And just to our listeners, what is a sports operations manager position is, how do you perform your role, and what is the importance and the size of that role that impacts the organization Da.One Sports.
Oh, I think it's been a tremendous opportunity for me. I think I started off as Dhawan Sports last March, 2022 March. We were coming out of the pandemic, and I made a move from Bangalore to Gurgaon, and things were not like as rosy as it looks on the outside. I come from South India and I can't speak Hindi that fluently, right? So that move from Bangalore to Gurgaon was pretty frightening, but yeah, it was a good experience as well. I had multiple discussions with Shikhar himself, with my wonderful CEO Amitesh Shah as well. So when we discussed about starting off Dhawan Sports, I'm sorry, even before we get to the operations part of it, I'll just talk a bit about Dhawan Sports and how did it come into picture. Right.
Yeah,
So Shikhar
definitely.
being the athlete himself, right? So Shikhar being the athlete himself, we wanted to make sure that we wanted to be known as a sports education and training organization more
Mm-hmm.
than just being a training academy as such. So I'll give you the brief of why that sports education and training organization. So when we had the multiple discussions with Shikhar, he was very clear. He's a man of quality. He's a man of quality who wanted to be, I'm sorry, 100% certain of what are we offering, right? How are we different? What is our USP? And why Dhawan Sports should be the go-to name. Okay? So when he started pointing these things out, it was very intriguing for me to understand, okay, what is his expectation? See, because a player who's been part of the international circuit for almost a decade, right? He's played about 150 ODIs for India, about 30 test matches. He's been the regular for all the IPL teams. He's captaining Punjab. So when all these things are happening, so it's very important to understand what is your founder's vision, right? So only then you will be able to align with it because every individual has a different way of thinking, right? So you have the thinkers and the doers. So when you're looking at the thinkers, you need someone who just wants to implement whatever they have been thinking, right? On the other
Yes.
side, there are doers who just want to be instructed what has to be done. But I come from a mix of both, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when I understood what Shikhar wanted, what was the thing that Amitesh was very clear about, so we sat down and we decided that let's first understand what is the existing market. Right. So I've been in the sports education field for about 9 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And when I spoke to Shikhar, I got a lot of other ideas and which will be implemented in the near future. Right. So that's how Dhawan Sports started. And we were clear from day one that's always quality over quantity. We didn't want to have like 100 academies in the first year or the second year. We were like slowly but steadily we'll get there. But the context has always been that quality over quantity. Right? So we started in the month of March. We started looking at what type of program to be introduced, what should be the coaching mechanism for the set of coaches? Are we looking at only cricket or multi sports? Are we looking at hiring coaches locally from that particular region, or we're getting certified coaches? Are we bringing coaches on board and training them? So, if we are training them, what sort of training is required? Who are the people who's going to manage these coaches? What sort of program? Who are the people who are going out to the market and tell that yes, Dhawan Sports is in existence today? Do you want to try that? So all these questions started arising. And when we started going back to the drawing table every day, we started figuring out things that, okay, what are the things that we have to do? And we took about good 3.5 months where we were only working on what should be the product, what should be the service, right? So when
Mm-hmm.
that was clear, only then we went out telling that, hey, Mr. Shikhar Dhawan has started his own sports education and training organization. Why
Okay.
don't you figure out what we do? Give us a few minutes to explain to you. Give us a few minutes to pitch to you. Right? So that was the understanding of it. Now, just to give you a gist of what is sports operations and what a sports operation manager does. Sports
Mm-hmm.
operation is like, with a real-time example, is that how you organize your daily routine, right? So
Yeah.
you have a set pattern. You wake up at so and so time, you go to bed at so and so time. In between A to Z things that you do is all moving as you plan, right? That is what sports operation is all about. What happens in our academy, what happens in our organization from A to Z is planned and executed by the operations guys,
Okay.
right? So the quality of the operation manager that I would say the first and the foremost thing is understanding the need and catering to that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the operations is the crucial thing. So most of the people who are into banking and finance or who are into FMCG, who are into a lot of different fields, right? The manufacturing, all of that. The
Yes.
operations that they handle there is slightly different. But when
Okay.
it comes to sports, this is the brief gist, right? So this is the gist of it. So if you're able to understand and cater to it on a daily basis, what are the things that's required, right? That will solve all the problems.
Yes.
Bhagwan.
And yeah, that basically tells us that you are basically making sure that every other individual that is employed in the organization is performing his role. There comes the role of the leadership, and how important for you as a sports operations manager is that quality of leadership in you helped you in making sure that you get the deals done, you get the pitches ready that you are going to pitch to the organizations that you want to sign up. How that leadership term that we say is important in supervising roles played a role for you in this period of time when you are doing this role.
When you're talking about the leadership, if you're looking at the cricketing standpoint,
Hmm.
so the minute you look at MSD, right,
Yeah.
the minute that thought that comes to your mind when someone says MSD is that, wow, amazing human, right? True leader.
Hmm.
Why is he termed as a true leader? Is it because of the number of trophies that he's won? Is it because of the number of people he's managed? Or how he's managed the people to get those laurels, right? So
Yes.
here, everything comes into picture. So the leadership is like, you need to understand every individual is different
Hmm.
and you have yourself to be taken care of and you're answerable to the management, right?
Yeah.
So you're answerable to the founder and the CEO of that. So
Hmm.
here, what I would say, the most important thing in the leadership is the people management skill,
Okay.
right? The minute you understand the people management, it makes it much easier for you. And honestly speaking, even I'm learning as every day passes by. So I have someone like Shikhar to guide me. I have my CEO, Mr. Amitesh Shah, to guide me. So
Mhm.
these people have been so handy. There are days when I feel like, oh, I'm not sure, should I take this decision or no? Should
Yes.
I be empathetical? Should I be practical? Should I think from the standpoint of what's good for the business? Should I look for think from a standpoint of what's good for the next generation? What
Hmm.
should be that? So you at times emotions take over. We are human beings, end of the day. How do you
Yes.
control your emotions? What are you looking forward? Is that result going to be helping you today, tomorrow, or in the near future, or is it going to impact and play a bigger role? So the
Okay.
people management skill makes it very important. So what I do usually is that when I reach out to the client, especially the schools that we have signed up or the academies that we have,
Hmm.
I talk to them. I try and understand what is their need, right? So when
Yes.
I sit down with them, I don't like go blabbering about, hey, we are Dhawan Sports, this is what we do, the founder is Shikhar Dhawan and all of that. See, the
Okay.
minute you Google Da.One sports, you get all of these details, right?
Mhm.
They're not expecting that from me. So
Okay.
when I meet them, I first try and understand what is
Their
that they are looking
requirements.
for. Exactly. Once you understand the requirement, then you can change your pitch as well, or you
Okay.
can accordingly lay down your pitch, right?
Mm.
So just to give you an example, so we have the school. So one of our first sign up is called the Millennium School, Greater Noida West.
Okay.
So the principal is Mrs. Himani Tyagi. So we met her for the first time last July,
Mhm.
and throughout July there was back and forth things happening. Uh, we were discussing about how do we go about this, what do we do, the payments, all these things. And
Mhm.
then in the month of August, what we did, we invited their the school's director and the founder, Mr. Naveen Goel, to come to our launch. So when he was there, he met Shikhar and he told, okay, let's go ahead, let's do this. And within no time, the school was signed up, right?
Okay.
And then there was a relationship that was built where ma'am was so welcoming and she gave us all the opportunity to go out and lay down our services, uh, make sure all the kids are getting to train in the best possible manner. So
Yes.
in about 3 weeks' time, we started hiring the coaches. We started training them. We started going back and talking to the parents, talking to the fellow teachers, talking to the principal again, and we started implementing the program. Today we've been there for almost a year, and I was there about 3 weeks back when I met the principal, the owner, and the coordinator.
Mhm.
They gave us only one word. The feedback was the team is doing really good. I was satisfied. I was like, wow, this is good. And I
Yes.
was there in the school a couple of months back when they were running a couple of tournaments or more like a activity for the parents where we
Okay.
had conceptualized and it was executed by the school. It became such a big thing. It was more like the parents were involved in these activities. So the parents were so nostalgic. They were coming up and telling, "Thank you for doing this for us." And we were like, "This is what we are here for." It's not only that we are providing the importance of sports education, but we
Mm.
also want to make sure that the kids look up to the parents. If the parents are physically fit and active, for
Yeah.
a reason that the kids will automatically start playing. So this was more like we understood the psychological effect of or impact towards that, and then we started telling, okay, this is how we have to do. And I would say probably as that's where the leadership came and telling. I started thinking about what should be the impact that we are providing. Right, these activities or events will lay a lot of impact for the parents. And trust me, right after that, when we were discussing recently 3 weeks back when we met ma'am for the feedback and all of that,
Mhm.
we are coming up with something called as the Parents Premier League, right? The parents of that particular school will
Mhm.
be given a chance to participate for more than one sport, and we are okay to even train them on the weekends, and probably we have a league of our own where the parents of the particular school is doing. Right? We're not charging them. We're more than happy to welcome them. Imagine your crowd is going to be a mix of parents, teachers, and the students,
Yes.
right? So this is very welcoming, right? I don't want any social media presence. I don't want anything. But if that we have about 900 kids in that school, then imagine 900 kids and 1,800 parents or any number that is.
Mhm.
The number of people being on ground that one particular day gives me immense satisfaction. And even if we are able to like set this as an example and replicate in all our schools, I'm more than happy,
Yes, I get that idea, and
right?
it sounds so different, and really it just didn't come into the thought at first place. But when you said at the end of the day, now we are planning a whole tournament where the parents of the students can get involved. It definitely is going to drive the students on taking the sport even more seriously, and also it will make the parents also better when it comes to their physical. Fitness is also concerned, and in a way, instead of finding out cricketers or players or athletes outside or on the media out there and get inspired, let the kids who are so young and getting into the sport newly, let them get inspired by their parents itself. That is perfectly a different
Absolutely,
idea
man.
altogether.
Absolutely.
Moving forward, idea on how you were saying sports operations is, and how the innovation and the ideology of sports operations is, and how you make sure that based on what the organization is, you pitch the idea based on that. Definitely, there might be situations where some companies that you have went to pitch, it might have not worked the way you have expected, and some companies which might have shown interest for you to uh, provide service, you might have not felt the right kind of approach from their side. So how it is for you to say no to some companies, or hearing no from some schools or organizations when it comes to providing this sports education and training?
So I think honestly speaking, I think the first few rejections was like I was questioning myself. I was doubting, okay, will this going to work?
Mm-hmm.
Is it something that we really have to look at? How do we present? Is there something wrong with the pitch and all of that? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but later I realized I was trying to oversell it and tell that, hey, listen, this is what you really want. You have to go ahead and take this and all of that. And I realized that if I am in their shoes, and
Mm-hmm.
so I have the infrastructure, I have the number of students studying in my school, I have the existing physical education teachers in my school.
Yeah.
Why will I want Da.One sports to come in? Right? So when I started looking from that angle or through that lens, I
Mm-hmm.
started realizing that I need not oversell this. I just have to tell them that, hey, you're already doing A, B, C, D things perfectly. Let
Mm-hmm.
us help you to kickstart with E or F or G or H, whatever it is. Okay, you
Yeah.
might be doing really good in terms of cricket, basketball, football. Why don't you take our training for chess and badminton,
Mm-hmm.
right? We won't even touch cricket. Cricket is our first sport. Cricket, we are a cricket first company. And I'm really ICC level 235 coach. Coming from me, it was not an easy thing to tell. But I understood that they already have the set of physical education teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Then slowly we made them understand that the way we train the kids in a more professional manner, right, is what we will be able to do for all other sports. Right? That's when a lot of people started understanding that why they required double sports and what was the need, right? So our USP and still going to remain the same. The way the trainers or the coaches handle the session makes a very big difference to us. Because see, end of the day, Dhanush, I might sit behind the laptop, I might type hundreds of pages of document. Now I need not even type. I have Chat GPT that will help me and all of that. I
Yes.
might have a few people on ground to take care of the quality operations, everything. But
Mm-hmm.
if there are no good set of coaches who understand their roles and responsibility when it comes to coaching any particular sport, right? I'll be a failure. So
Yes.
we have always discussed, and this has always been Shikhar's first point as well. How and where are you going to find these coaches?
Yes.
So here I would say I will bring in two organizations here who has immensely helped me, especially the North operations, North India's operations.
Mm-hmm.
One is this push sports, right? They have been our partners for almost a year now. We have had like 6, 7 academies with them and all of that.
Okay.
They help me get the right set of coaches,
Mm-hmm.
whoever who were uh, who have been with us from day one, whom we have trained and deployed them. And trust me, it's been more than 12, 14 months of operation. They're still with us, right?
Yes.
Then the second thing is we got a couple of candidates from lovely professional university. I reached out to the director of placements. I told him, boss, listen, we have a opening like this. Can you help me with a few candidates? He told me which sport, what should be the qualification. He
Mm-hmm.
went out, he reached out to their alumnus group and all of that. And I had like 5 resumes in no time.
Okay.
Right? See, that's what I tell you, when you try, when you want to do something, and there are people going to help you. There are people going to support you. You just have to put your request out there, and people will somehow or somewhere, someone will come and help you.
Okay, so now I get an idea that
Yeah.
now for you to get if fulfill your job responsibility as a sports operations manager, coaches play a major role. And since you have got the two companies supporting Da.One Sports out there in getting quality coaches, I guess you have now been able to live up to the expectations or what you had told in the pitch, you have been able to live up to that standards through the quality coaches that you have provided. And also now I can say that now you are basically now I'm getting the hands that you require. Just your two hands won't work. You need some extra hands in the form of these quality coaches in order to make sure the clients that you provide, you are training, you are living up to the expectations that they are keeping on you. Now that Da.One Sports is into sports education and training, is there any sports academy kind of a thing where you have to manage the academy and all this stuff?
Absolutely. So, as part of the organization, we run in two different verticals. Okay, one is that the sports education and training for the schools, and the
Uh-huh.
other is the sports education and training for the academies. Right.
Okay.
So, the sports education and training in the school is where we are basically handling the physical education classes,
Yeah.
which is being converted into Dhawan sports sessions. And
Mm-hmm.
we run our sessions during that time, where we have the specialized coaches for each sport. Say, for example, a school has about the facility for four sports. That is cricket, basketball, football, and table tennis. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we provide four different coaches, okay,
Mm-hmm.
for the four sports, and we start training them for that particular sport.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side, the academy functions in such a way where the
Mm-hmm.
kids come to a particular center. Here in the school, we send our coaches to the school,
Yes.
whereas in the academy, the kids come to the center.
Yes.
There, it's slightly different in terms of operations, right?
Definitely.
Why? You have a set of coaches readily available. You are anticipating so many kids, so many of them to join your learning center, right?
Yes.
So what happens there is that there the kids get to train for more number of time, more amount of time, more than the number of time, more amount of time and more number of days, basically. Say, for example, one of the centers that we run in Gurgaon, it's in Sector 59, the Dome. So we have about 200 to 50 kids turning up there on a weekly basis. Okay?
Okay.
So we have sessions starting as early as 4 p.m. It goes up to 7 p.m. Right? In Bangalore, it's slightly different. We run at the center called our Center of Excellence is in East West Center for Sporting Excellence on
Okay.
Mount Road, where we
Mm-hmm.
have four different sports: cricket, basketball, football, and badminton. Cricket has about 40, 50 players there already. And there, particularly, the session starts at 4:30 in the afternoon
Okay.
and we wind up by 6:30. So the
Mm-hmm.
duration of training in North India is different, in South India it's different,
Yes.
right? The culture is pretty different. The
Mm-hmm.
way the coaches talk to the students and parents is different,
Yes.
right? The approach is the same. The way they talk is different, right?
Yeah.
The reason is cricket is widely popular sport across the globe today. Especially in India, it's crazy, right?
Yep.
When it comes to the operations of the academy, you have to also understand the kids are willingly coming here to learn from you. They pay you, they learn from you, right?
Yeah.
So you have to understand the USP that we have here is that one is the feedback mechanism, two is how many matches the kids are playing on a regular basis, so that
Mm-hmm.
we actually know whatever they're training for is it being adapted by them so and implemented during their matches. So
Okay.
these are the two very major things that we have made a difference. You won't believe this. In Gurgaon, the Dome Center that I told you, which
Mm-hmm.
is managed by Push, I think on an average, every kid has played about 70 matches in the last year in 2020.
What is the age group of
I'm
these kids?
talking about exactly. So I'm talking about the under 10, under 12, under 14, under 16, under 19.
That's way more
Okay, on
than
an
we.
average,
That's way more than we.
exactly. On an average, in the whole of 2022, they have played at least 70 matches. So imagine what should be the learning outcome of these players, right? So our stakes are really high now. And we
Mm-hmm.
had like four or five cricketers representing the Delhi District Cricket Association's under 16 team. And in
Okay.
Bangalore, thanks to Rajaji, cricketers as well, we had
Mm-hmm.
about six cricketers who are representing for the under 16 and the under 19. Then we had about five more cricketers participating in the under 23 league. and now the Maharaja Trophy is starting. So I'm sure a couple of cricketers from here will also start playing. So I
Yeah,
think this
definitely.
is what, yeah, this is what we are looking at, right?
Okay, I
I
get
think
an idea.
that's very important.
Yeah, it will definitely grow over time. And seeing that 70 matches for a 10-year-old kid in a year is definitely going to take his cricket to a whole new level if he maintains that consistency. Moving on, Srisha, we talked about the external stuff that sports manager or sports operations manager does here in making sure the clients are handled well, the coaching staff that you are trying to prepare are at their best learning and at their best levels. And also, you gave the difference on
Sure.
how a school sports is taken in in a school and sports is being taught in an academy. I got the
True.
external ideas well, but certain internal stuff where you are basically like a bridge between the top management and the lower level management. For you in this specific position as a sports operations manager, sometimes you have something that you want to invest in, but your top management, your CEO or your subordinates there won't give you the support or won't think in the similar manner that you are thinking. How it is for you, the liberty that you have as a sports operations manager in making sure that you kind of give what your idea is and trying to make sure that they also get the visualization of what you are trying to tell.
Absolutely. See, at Da.One Sports, I'm at a position where, yes, I can make a few calls. But yeah, I have to take the confidence of my CEO, especially. Right? So there are going to be challenges. And see, it's not like my way is the only way to make sure the company is functioning. Right? There might be a lot of things that I might be blindsided with.
Hmm.
Right? So considering this, the most important thing is that whenever we are taking any decision, what I have accepted with close to 9 years of work experience is that you need to take the decision based on what's beneficial for the benefit, what benefits the organization end of it,
Yep.
right? So when this happens, I know for a reason that I don't know if you remember me giving this example when we were doing the business of studies, sorry, business of sports lessons as well. You
Okay.
remember the sandwich example?
I kind of forgot it. It's been 2 years, but you can definitely tell.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, I would say I'm the sandwich between the top level management and uh, the management on ground. Right.
Yes.
So what happens here is that if you remove the fillings in between
Hmm.
the sandwich, it's only the bread. Right.
Yeah.
So and it's not like a self praise, but it's a fact. But so I'm like the sandwich here. I'm like the fillings in the sandwich.
You
So
are
I
the
know for a
tomato, you
reason
are the
that
capsicum in between.
very true. So for tomato, yeah, it's a very
You
big
are
day
adding the
right
essence
now.
in a way, and that essence is basically you trying to sell the idea to the top management and also making sure the lower management is
Absolutely,
getting that idea.
absolutely.
Perfect. That's the perfect way of summing it up of how the sports
So
operations
that's the
manager does.
thing. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, and I get that. So this is the best example. I can definitely put this out in a reel. Like basically, what a sports operations manager is, he's basically like a sandwich stuff where the breads are the top and the
Absolutely.
lower level management, and in between where
Huh.
the essence is added, the bridges. That is what the job of a sports operations manager is. Perfectly summed up out there, Shisha. Now that you have been doing this job for 1 year and with the amount of experience that you have garnered, and since you have been a cricket coach earlier on, teaching kids on how on perfecting their craft, and I guess you can give an idea to the listeners on how a day-to-day life is of a sports operations manager.
Oh, absolutely. I think the most important thing is that one is whoever is taking up the role of the operations manager, they need to have good phone connectivity, internet available all the time,
The
and be
basic
willing
stuff.
to take calls at any point of time. Right. So
24/7.
the reason is that, huh?
Is it 24/7, 365?
It's not like 24/7, but there are parents. See, a lot of parents start working at 8 a.m. in the morning. So when
Yes.
they're driving to work, they would want to have a word with you. And it's not that they're expecting too much. Obviously, when you come from the sporting background, obviously you need to have that. You need to wake up early. You need to be attentive to the calls and all of that. Because end of the day, it might be a potential client,
Yes.
right? So that is the reason. So you don't know. That is one basic thing. The second and the most important thing is that you have to have lots of patience, not only in terms of sports operations, but any job for that matter. But
Mhm.
especially sports operations, the reason being that we
Mhm.
need people to understand he's holding a lot of ropes together,
Yeah.
right? So he has to cater to the kids, he has to cater to the parents, he has to cater to the school management, he has to cater to the top level management of the organization, he has to cater
Mhm.
to his subordinates, he has to cater to the coaches. So a lot of things, right? And at the same time, he needs to be really good in terms of understanding and reading the numbers.
Okay.
Right? The reason why I'm telling the understanding and reading the numbers is that a lot of them don't understand how do you even make a very simple profit and loss account,
Yes.
right? So because end of the day, you're responsible to run that particular center, be it in a school or an academy, right? You need
Mhm.
to understand the price point that I spoke about. Okay, it pertains to this. The reason being that, say for example, I have about 30 kids coming in. Okay, and I have one coach who's working for two different batches. Okay, the first batch is between 4 to 5:30. Second batch is from 6 to 7:30.
Mhm.
Okay. Now there are 30 kids. Each kid is paying about 3,000 rupees per month. It's about 90,000 rupees.
Yeah.
Now he has to understand how much can he pay the coach. Is it
Yes.
based on the skill? Is it based on the number of hours? Is it based on the experience? Is it
Mhm.
based on the certifications? So all these things put together. Now,
Okay.
if he is paying about 45,000 to the coach, just as an example, he also need to take into consideration for him to increase that number. What is the amount he's spending on marketing?
Mhm.
Okay, for the use for the equipments that's being used during the training. Okay, and the clothing, all these things comes into picture. So he needs to really understand how much can he pay to the coach, and
Okay.
then take care of all of these. So that is where they need to understand, and they need to be really good in terms of numbers, right? So
Okay.
you have the calculators, you have the Excel sheets, everything that comes. You have the tools to make use of, right?
Mhm.
So that is one. And the way you communicate to people,
Mhm.
right? So that is really important. The way you communicate to the children, like say for example, I'm not telling you have to be on ground all the time, but when you're there, how do you talk to the players? How do you talk to the coaches? How do you talk to the parents?
Mhm.
Okay, what sort of feedback are you looking at? Is it a feedback about the program? Is it the feedback about that particular session? Is it the feedback about skill? So you need to be really certain about what sort of communication are you sending off, right? So that is very important. And at the same time, what sort of expansion plans do you have,
Mhm.
right? So these are the crux of it. And I would any day tell, if there are anyone who's wanting to get into the field of sports, if you
Mhm.
want, or if you're looking at yourself as the operation manager, okay, you will have to start from the scratch, where you start with a small internship as well, right?
Mhm.
Get into any academy, talk to them, tell them, hey, why don't I do all these things for you? And these things makes it much easier, okay, for any academy or organization, when they know there is someone who's willing to learn,
Okay.
right? So so many new tasks that comes in a way, right? So you can also cater into understanding, okay, very simple thing, right? So you create a feedback mechanism, right?
Yes.
Say say on a monthly basis you get the feedback from the parents about the
Mhm.
coaches, about the academy, about the use of equipment, about the facility, whatever it is. And
Mhm.
once we collate it for about 3 months and you present it to the management and tell, hey, listen, we've got 9 on 10 on most of it, we've got 6 on 1 of it, here's how we can make it better.
Okay.
And we communicate that to the parents, right? So these things are very small acts which makes a very big difference,
Yeah, I get an idea that now,
right?
as a sports operations manager, you basically told some stuff point by point, and I guess the listeners out there will get an idea. One, you have to be on your toes, like you should have your internet connectivities and phone connectivities on par, and be available for the people out there who are going to be
Yeah,
contacting you. That will be in big numbers if you are
absolutely.
managing a big organization, and then you have to have the patience to listen to them at first place and then give them the right answers that they are looking for. And then absolutely the
Absolutely.
numbers part is very, very important, where you have to be
Absolutely.
able to get an idea of what the whole the size of the whole program is, and based on that you have to read the numbers, and that is a major part, and I guess that is the most time consuming part for you in the job. And also in the end, when you mentioned that they have to have the capacity to kind of learn themselves and better themselves out there, and make sure that learning is something that is always going to be happening if you are a sports operations manager. And now that the amount of sports academies are growing, and the amount of people taking sports is growing rapidly, not just cricket but other sports as well. Do you how much it is going to be the importance and the demand for the sports operations managers in the future? And definitely with the growing population, we can we say that the sports industry, with overall sports industry booming so much, even sports operations manager and sports facilities will require a lot and lots of hands than what actually it is currently, right?
Absolutely, though. See, a very simple thing is that there have been a lot of private players who are entering into creating better sporting infrastructure today. The
Mm-hmm.
minute the sporting infrastructure are created, they have two things to look at. One, they have the pay and play option. Two, they want to make sure it caters to the kids as well in terms of academy functioning or the training as well. Right.
Yeah.
So here, what happens? You need people who will understand what is the need for all of this, right?
Mhm.
So you need more people to come out and tell, okay, I'll take up this job. Okay, I'm going to put in the hard yards in the initial years. I'm not doing, when hard yards, I'm not talking about working for 10, 12 hours in a day and all of that. It's about understanding being on ground can be physically and mentally exhausting. That is the reason why there is so much of respect for the coaches, right?
Yes.
So, but when it comes to the operation manager, they need not they need not be like technically sound. They just need to understand what is the sport about,
Yeah.
right? And they need to have good set of what do you tell? Good set of coaches who can help them run the academy better. Today, what
Mhm.
happens? A lot of coaches are getting themselves certified, are able to come out and communicate really well to the kids, and they're
Mhm.
able to train them in innovative manners, right?
Yeah.
For those things to happen, you need the operation managers to be there who will tell, okay, I have the best person on payroll or on ground, and this person can give you a good demo. Go through the demo sessions, and then you can enroll to our academy.
Yes.
Because today, what's happening, we have a lot of private players come into play, right? So
Yeah.
there's good amount of infrastructure that's available. With that, obviously, the most important thing for the parents is that they want a safe learning environment for the kids,
Yeah.
right? Be it any sport for that, man. I'm not only talking about cricket, football, basketball, volleyball, kabaddi, okay, swimming, all of these things. You need that the academy to function in such a way. It has to be smooth. The experience for the parents and the kids has to be smooth. The whole environment should be really good for the coaches, right? So with all these things, there's only one person who will be able to do that,
Yeah.
right? So you want to term it as facility managers, operation managers, whatever it is.
Mhm.
But we need more people who are inclined towards being part of the sports industry. Yes, over the last decade, we've seen a lot of growth, but we need more people. There have been a lot of colleges that's come up with bachelor's degree in sports management as well. But we need them so that like not everyone wants to get into the IPL. Some might want to be with the grassroots academies. So it's fair enough. It's good. Let them come. Let them learn. Okay, as you rightly told, the learning is a constant, right? They have to learn on their own. But the thing is, what I really appreciate about the couple of interns that I've had or the people that I'm working with right now, they're
Mhm.
really innovative and they're ready to put in that extra efforts to get better,
Yeah.
right? So I think these opportunities has to be created, and we are in the right direction. And I'm sure we'll have a lot more academies, a lot more organizations, and with the innovation of technology and intervention, it will definitely help us scale better heights.